Hey everybody, welcome to Kaiju and Coffee. I'm Travis, this is Michael, and we're with Nick. First of all, we got to give a shout out to Grateful Dog Bakery for commissioning some lovely Godzilla coasters for us with Rock Solid, so a big thank you to them. We're going to be able to class the place up around here.
Get a close-up of it.
Oh yeah, there you go. I'm going to show that baby off. See that?
The Godzilla action going on there.
Right. So yeah, big thanks to Grateful Dog Bakery. So today we're going to be talking about Kong Skull Island. That's why we got Michael. He's our resident King Kong expert.
Hello, everybody.
This came out in March of 2017, and what was interesting about it is like a lot of these like bigger promotional films that get a lot of big push. Like they don't typically interest me, and I typically don't like them. But Kong Skull Island looked really good, and it turned out that it was good, and actually. It came out in like the same 3-week span as Logan and Get Out, all of which I thought looked pretty good and turned out to be pretty good, I thought. And so that was a big deal. Like it was like, you know, when just for years and years and years, it's just a slog of this just big blockbuster that doesn't do anything, it doesn't say anything, it's really boring. It's just a big special effects extravaganza. But yeah, I really like Kong Skull Island. I thought it was pretty good at what it was trying to do. What did you guys think of it?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah?
It's probably one of my favorite Kong movies of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yep.
When I was watching it in the theater, I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, man, this is how a Kong movie should be.
Right.
You know, all the disappointments, you know, through the years. And this is, you know, and all like the mediocre ones they put out. This
Right.
one was, you know, satisfying all the way through.
Well, I mean, it's the second installment of the big new universe.
The legendary universe.
The legendary universe, is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Okay. And so this is going to be like the Marvel Kaiju Marvel, whatever you want to call it. And the first one really wasn't that good. I didn't really like it. It didn't do anything for me. We'll get to that one eventually. Probably not too long.
They learned their lesson with that first one, I think.
That was my first thought about it. It was like they learned from their mistakes, and pretty much everything that was really bad, Kong was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
What did you think about
Kong or the first one? The
it? Kong,
Godzilla?
Kong Skull Island.
I mean, it's an awesome movie. It covers so many things about the time frame it's set in, the visuals, Kong himself. The beast that he fights, the skull crawlers.
Yeah.
John C. Reilly's
Sounded better in my head.
But there's some nice. John C. Reilly brings in some nice bits of comedy,
Right.
to relieve the movie a bit. The heaviness of it, because there's some heavy subject matter for the time frame it's set in.
Right.
And
Well, that's what we're going to get into because like Godzilla was a modern set film. Kong Skull Island is a Vietnam era film.
Yep.
It's like very much a Vietnam film.
Cue the CCR.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It hit the required amount of CCR to be a
I'm not
Vietnam
complaining
era
about
film. It wasn't Fortunate Son. It was not
No.
Fortunate Son. That's kind of the stock one you go to.
You need at least two in a Vietnam movie.
Right. They did hit that quota. The music was really cool. I really dug it.
I love the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I do.
I don't believe I ever heard Ziggy Stardust in a film before. I'm not saying it's never been used in a film before, but it's never been used in a film that I've seen before. And so I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't see that coming.
They really used the music to set the stage of the time frame.
Yeah.
Right.
It really puts you in the early 1970s during the Vietnam War, while still being a monster sci-fi flick.
Right.
Using things, and they went across the board. They went from CCR to Black Sabbath to Ziggy Stardust to some others more like folksy type stuff.
White Rabbit.
White
Yeah.
Rabbit. They covered the psychedelic stuff. I mean, it was a little bit of everything for everybody, because there was so much going on at that time historically.
A Nixon bobblehead.
There was
Yeah,
Nixon
the Nixon
bobblehead. A lot of little Easter eggs and things in there like that.
Yeah.
So, sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, no, go ahead. If you have a thought there,
Well, so like one interpretation of the original King Kong from 1933 is that it's about interracial relationships, right? And so now, fast forward, so however many decades it's been now, and now Kong he's like an allegory for Nam.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like the war is over, they're going home, but now they have this other battle to fight.
That's a good point.
Which, you know, gets us into the casting with Samuel L. Jackson. You know, he was really well casted. I liked him in this a lot.
It wasn't just like, oh, we're going to throw Samuel L. Jackson in here.
Yeah, that's a lot of films.
Yeah.
You know, he kind of just
plays
Samuel L. Jackson a lot, but and you know what they were going for. He's going for like this battle-hardened, pissed-off veteran. You know, they have the thing with him and the anti-war photographer and things like that. But you know, I could understand where he was coming from at the same time, and you know, he just loses his shit and just goes crazy. But so then that's where you get he's like Colonel Kurtz in Heart of Darkness, because there's a couple references to that, which is what Apocalypse Now is based on. You know, they're on the riverboat, and you got the guy named Conrad and Marlowe and things like that. But yeah, overall, I thought the cast was really good. You had John Goodman. He did really well. Shea Wiggum, I think is his name. I haven't seen him a lot, but I've always liked him. He was Cole. And they were real subtle with him, like, because he supported the colonel and when he was going crazy, and then we're like, oh, he went crazy. And so they didn't have to, like, draw things out with dialogue with him, so I really liked it. But he had the M79 grenade launcher on his back, and I thought they were going to use it at some point, but they never did. So you were saying, also along with casting, you were saying there are 2 members of Straight Outta Compton in this?
Yeah, the actor that plays Dr. Dre and the actor that plays Eazy.
Okay.
And I believe the actor that played Ice Cube, which is Ice Cube's son,
right,
is going to be in Godzilla 2.
Oh.
So tying it in.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with that. I like the guy that played John Goodman's helper. You said he played Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
He did really well. I thought he acquitted himself well in this film and held his own.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him. I recall on anything else, but I was impressed.
I think he's going to be a more important character as time goes on with the whole Monarch storyline.
And now there's also a lot of Marvel actors in it as well, right?
Yeah. You got Tom Hiddleston, who was Loki.
Yeah.
Sam Jackson, who was Nick Fury.
That's right.
Brie Larson.
You said Brie Larson's going to be somebody.
Captain
Marvel, okay. Yeah. And then in Godzilla, that one dude, wasn't he in one of them too? Yeah, he was Quicksilver.
Yeah.
That's
and
and the other lady, that's right. She was the witch lady.
I think her name's Ashley Olsen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she related to that?
Yeah, she is.
No
yeah.
shit. Okay. I never knew that. I always kind of assumed it.
Yeah, they look a lot alike.
Yeah, strong cast overall. Everybody covered like very different roles in the movie to portray, the audience, people coming from different viewpoints, and adding to the subject matter and the plot of the movie and the different things about like the war and all that too. So,
right.
Yeah, views on the war.
Yeah, it's set up like a straight action film. You've got these characters and you just run through and you introduce them. Kind of like Mortal Kombat I watched recently, and then it did the same thing. It's like, here's this character, here's this character, here's this character. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get right to it, because you start with the scientists.
Yeah.
And then I believe it's the military next. And then I don't remember if it's the photographer or Loki next, but then, it just goes right through them, introduces them in their element. She's in her dark room. They're in their military base about to go home. He's drinking in a bar and getting in a fight and just like runs through some guys.
Yeah, he's the kind of semi-swarthy hero that leads everybody in the right direction. And he literally in the movie he's a tracker.
Right.
You got Sam Jackson, who is very controversial, but at the same time you have to understand where he's coming from. but then he kind of takes on the evil role.
Yeah.
You can understand like his anger when his men get killed, but then after that, when there's nothing else he can do, he still wants to kill them.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he was responsible. He
Yeah.
felt responsible for it. It was his fault, or he bears some responsibility for it.
For accepting the mission.
Yeah, because he was very gung-ho about it. I really appreciated Tom Hiddleston, because like you said, they were coming from all these different directions, these characters. You got the scientists, the anti-war, the soldiers, and he's got to like make them all work together. He's got to lead them, as you said, he's a tracker, and he's leading them through the jungle. And I can appreciate that. I think we've all had to deal with like making shit fit, make people work together that don't want to work together. They almost want to kill each other. In this case, literally, and with some of them. So yeah, I really appreciated that.
Yeah, the cast overall, it was just from the characters to who portrayed the characters, it was just really well done.
Right.
The casting was strong.
Yeah, the CGI looked good. You saw it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
How did it look on the big screen?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was we got pretty close too.
No shit.
Yeah, so it was,
The quality of detail was pretty good.
Yeah, you pointed out like the whorls on his palm.
Yeah. Yeah, the palm of King Kong's hand. You can even see the print of his palm. Looks leathery like an ape's palm, and I like in the details of when they're like fighting in the water and all that. But yeah, so the CGI was strong.
Right.
Yeah, he looked good in the daylight, and usually, I think, in the daylight, a lot of CGI doesn't look good.
Right.
But it looked great to me. That shot in front of the sun.
The Apocalypse Now shot. That was used heavily in the promotional material for good reason. It was very striking. He's in silhouette against the rising sun. Just like in Apocalypse Now.
It made most of the Blu-ray and DVD covers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's understandable. It's pretty cool. Same thing like with the explosion at the end, and he's silhouetted in front of it, and he's like, "I'm here, Sam Jackson. I'm gonna, beat your ass." I felt bad. They kind of whooped up on him there for a bit.
Yeah.
I always feel bad for his hand getting cut up and whatever.
Yeah, I can't say really too much bad about the movie. I mean, from the CGI to the visuals to the cinematography, casting, music, all across the board, the movie was really supported itself all the way through and was strong. I mean, I could probably find little details to nitpick.
That's every movie,
yeah.
That's every movie, but it just nothing that like detracted from the overall quality of the movie in any way.
Right.
The movie starts out strong with the one of the things I liked about the movie is that you're going to hear me talk a lot about history because I'm kind of a historian, and movies that tie into historical events. And so, kind of going through the movie from beginning to end of how it touches on everything. So
Right. Very of its time.
yeah. But I like how it starts out. It pulls in the sci-fi with the Monarch group.
Right.
It pulls in the sci-fi monster hunt. And
Yeah, it weaves a tight little tale.
yeah.
It does.
Plenty of action. Plenty of explosions.
There are quite a few explosions, certainly. Napalm is very flammable.
You don't have to wait for the action either, like a lot of these movies. It goes straight to it.
How long would you say it took to get going?
To get going?
Yeah, to get to that big first action sequence.
Maybe not even 10 minutes.
Really? Okay.
It might be longer, but it didn't seem longer.
It didn't seem like it?
Yeah, it didn't seem very long because it's paced very
The
long.
editing was good. The
Yeah.
pacing was good. It didn't keep you waiting
Well,
too
even
long.
the slower parts, it keeps you interested.
Right.
There's so much subject matter being covered and discussed that it gets you from the get-go, and it just carries you through like
You don't
a
get
good
bored.
story should.
Right.
If we can, I'd like to go through the movie a bit, from beginning to end in
Okay.
some ways. Not getting too bogged down, but
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Okay.
You remember how it starts out?
Oh yeah, it starts out with World War II.
Yeah, that took me by surprise.
Yeah, I like that it starts out with World War II.
Right.
It goes into the nuclear era.
Right.
With the bombs.
Well, yeah, it had the same credit sequence. Well, not the same one, but the similar one to the credit sequence in Godzilla, which was one of the few things I really liked about that film is all the redacted information and all the nuclear testing footage and all this. The Kong one was a little more like technological advancements, Americana, how it improves life, things like that. And then every once in a while there'd be like, oh, and then there's this weird thing on this map. I bet it's a monster or something. Yeah. And so that's after the World War II thing, which represents a pretty big thing in history as far as the advancement of technology, baby boomers, all that. It's cyclical like that.
Right from the get-go, I feel the movie starts playing with the technological advancements of man, and then as it gets into later in the movie of how that technology has affected nature.
Right.
You got the bombs and the radioactivity creating these monsters on our planet, and
woke them up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it gets into the
this
whole
universe.
Yeah, and it talks about later in the movie, which I thought was interesting. It ties in like the hollow Earth theory.
Right.
With movies, made me think of movies like Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite stories when I was young to read.
Gotcha.
One of the classics. So, and that, there was this whole notion that within the earth there's this hollow earth and there's these beasts and these creatures that live,
right,
and these people.
And if we're not careful, we're going to wake them up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to the dangers, what dangers are we going to wake up by technology?
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing it still today. People rail against technology.
Well, nukes do freak me out.
Oh yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Sure. Well,
nobody talks about them anymore, but they still freak me out.
So. Oh yeah.
Nobody talks about them, but they're still there.
But that's not the case. I mean, you think about it right now. We're talking about in politics. There's things of bombs and stuff like that. I don't want to get all political and corrupt politics, but it is a subject matter today.
Yeah, I don't think people are as afraid of them now as they were in the 50s and 60s.
Right.
And maybe out of our own ignorance because we're so like desensitized to the violence and all, and just
the Cold War supposedly ended.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch Planet of the Apes, people. Freak you out.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean it touches upon right from the get-go of the Cold War that occurred, and Russia versus the United States. And the advancements man's making, and that we are playing with some serious stuff that we need to respect and not take for granted. And I think it's still a lesson that's important today.
It's true.
And I think the movie really deals with that a lot, that we need to respect what we got in this planet. And I think there's a lot of that in the movie, as well as like touching upon war and people that are against war and all that.
Right.
So it goes right from the beginning with World War II.
Yeah.
And then it advances us through footage up to 1973.
Yeah. And then, and the protests in front of the White House in the 70s. And he says the line that's, for the chuckles, it's, mark my words, there'll never be a more messed up time in Washington. And, of course, that would have been funny any year ever.
So they go into the Vietnam War, and we start seeing shots of the soldiers, the helicopters, and the soldiers over in Vietnam as they're wrapping up at that time the Vietnam War. And Nixon, there's even a moment where you hear Nixon announce the end of the war.
Yeah. Peace with honor in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And they're ready to go home.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, they are.
Yep.
This final mission.
Right.
They could never imagine.
Survey a plan, an island that's never been found, the Bermuda Triangle in the South Pacific, where they crashed in the beginning. They get there and they're like testing the Hollow Earth theory, which turns out to be true, I guess, is in the legendary monster universe. Is maybe there will be a journey to the center of the Earth. So good for you. But then Kong shows up and fucks them up pretty bad.
And
And it really kicks off the movie, whereas everything up is, exposition, exposition, exposition. Oh, I'm a tracker. Oh, I'm a photographer. And then you're like, oh, now I'm an ape throwing shit at your helicopters, which
Yeah.
crash really easily
Don't blow up my home.
when things hit them.
and they, just before that, though, they started with Goodman and his assistant.
Yeah.
Trying to go to the government to get the approval to go to this island.
Yeah.
When he has, of course, this ulterior motive that we find out.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, stuff like that.
Yeah, they knew about him all along.
Yeah.
They just couldn't prove it.
Yeah, and he actually, Goodman's character, it ties in with that he was on that ship that gets attacked. But
Right. Yeah,
just trying to.
maybe a flashback to that in
Yeah.
future films.
Yeah.
I don't think Kong wrecked your ship, dude. I think
No.
probably somebody
But
else.
so yeah, they try to jump ahead, I guess, a little bit.
Yep.
They set up the whole mission. They go through all the debriefings and all that stuff beforehand. How dangerous it's all going to be. They get the cast together
Yeah.
to go on this mission, and then we see them on the water. With these they're flying into the helicopters. They have to break through that barrier of the storm.
Well, we had to break through the photography montage first, which
Wow,
they're
yeah.
the first of two. Because Brie Larson, she doesn't really do anything in the film. I mean, not much. She does a couple things. She blows up a monster. She shoots a flare at one's face, and it blows up and hurts it. That reminded me of Pacific Rim a little bit, where they did pretty much the same thing.
No, but I liked how her character, and not necessarily what she brought to it, but I liked her portrayal. But I liked the character that she brought in was that, or they have her bring in, was that at the time the photographers, the media,
Right.
there was a whole debate between what was the media contributing to the war.
Well, Samuel Jackson
And,
said
yeah.
that it was her fault, and it's
It turned a
That
lot of
our,
people
that our
off to
men
the
got
war.
killed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to really, these things are interesting because we're so far removed from that. This is like really not that long ago, but also it's just long enough to be also very long ago because, there's all kinds of, buffs about further back history, and then you gotta go forward a little bit for something to be ancient, I guess, for it to get a little more interesting. And I'm but not saying there's not Vietnam War buffs too, that there are, but yeah. So then that brings you to the.
No, I want to mention
running
there was
kind
a
of-
statement she made was that the right photo can help shape opinion,
Mhm.
and that's something that's we're dealing with today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The media and their coverage of things.
Well, I mean, everybody's a photographer now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The digital age.
Yeah.
but
That's why.
long story short, I guess I'm trying to say that the movie was very political.
Yeah, certainly. Well, that's why I was talking about the statement about DC and haha, it's never going to be so crazy.
Yeah,
And, it really will. And that's just the way it's always been.
yeah.
Whereas Godzilla was very dry. It really didn't
Yeah.
touch on any of this shit. It was just like, hey, look, here's a dark monster that you can't really see. But, Kong, he comes right out during the day. He kickstarts that film and, you ride it all the way to the
Yeah.
end.
Another thing I liked about the movie was just as you're getting into all the plot of the story, the plot of the movie, with the politics and all that stuff,
Right.
all the heavy stuff. Just when they do that, they'll slap you with the sci-fi horror monster. They remind you this is still a monster flick.
Yeah.
Just when you think, oh, this is dealing with reality, but then they pull in the monster flick
Yeah. There'll be
action.
lulls and then it'll ramp up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like kill somebody here, show a quick little fight there. Lots of monster fights in this, sprinkled throughout. You don't have to wait.
And it doesn't
and
cut
wait,
away
and
as soon
wait.
as they
Does
start
not-
fighting.
Does not cut away. Does not show it on a little monitor in the back
I do want to.
while the main
Yeah.
action, the actors are talking
Yeah.
in front of it. That's man. I guess we really can't wait to do Godzilla 2014.
No.
That is gonna be an interesting video to shoot. So yeah, with Kong, different story.
I wanna say that,
sorry.
I hope this is a glimpse into the future of the legendary MonsterVerse. I think they kind of are catching their stride with this
Right.
one. They're gonna. At least I hope so because this one was so good.
it got good feedback.
Yeah.
Right? And that's going to shape a series as it goes on.
Yeah.
You know, each film, you know, they're going to always be a little different, like the directors, very different styles and everything. But you hope it's going to take that good input and run with it and keep going, because the next one is Godzilla 2, as you said, right? In 19.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What year is it?
Yeah, seriously, it's jumping all over the place. But yeah, I guess Kong's going to be like a lot bigger, because like you could fit him in a shot with a person in this. It didn't really seem like you could do that with Godzilla.
You know, when I first saw this movie, I didn't realize how small he was in comparison to the Godzilla, but 'cause, you know, I saw it on the big screen, so it looked bigger than what, you know,
yeah,
does on the TV.
There's no buildings around to judge him by. You just got to judge him by the helicopter in his hand, and then you kind of, you know.
Which was an awesome scene, by the way. They really make you feel like you're in those helicopters.
Yeah, they were pretty hellacious.
It was
some of those, you know, you're spinning around, and then you die. Just like, wow.
Well, even
you're going down with them too.
It took you right down to the crash, where you're like even inside in the crash when it hits the ground or the trees or whatever. But that was a pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they were like hanging on for dear life and shit. I don't know if I want to be strapped in or what.
Yeah, the one guy where he's like hanging on to the helicopter as it's spinning.
Yeah.
And you can get a sense and the feel of him spinning.
You can imagine the inertia would be crazy.
Oh yeah.
You can see him, you know, they drop the bombs, you know, the charges.
Right.
On the wildlife, and, you know, you could kind of feel what Kong's feeling, you know.
Right.
Coming in and, you know, destroying his home.
Yeah, that's a very obvious metaphor
so,
for like what people do to the environment and shit like that. Yep. Like, oh, here's a pristine, beautiful landscape. What do you want to do first?
Build a shopping mall.
Let's bomb the shit out.
Then build a shopping mall.
There might be some baddies down there. Let's blow it up first. But, you know, it was for science and all that, just to flush out a big monster.
And I felt Kong represented that power and that awesomeness of nature.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's a lot of these are about that.
Yeah.
You know, Godzilla's always been like he's just a force of nature.
Yep.
There's nothing you can do. People, you know, they're very overt in some of their dialogue. I mean, like, oh, we think we're in control, but we're not. You know, they really spell it out in some of them. But sometimes that's just what you got to do.
But he comes in, he looks awesome, and he kicks ass.
Yeah, so he's probably going to get a lot bigger in the 30 years, 40 years, whatever it's going to be. And probably pretty scarred up because he gets pretty fucked up. It was really an endurance test for him, this whole film, King Kong, because like he gets cut up first, and then he gets in a fight. No. Then he gets blown up with napalm and shit, and he's like barbecued, and he faints, and he might be dead, but he's not dead, and they almost blow him to hell.
Not to mention all the times he was shot.
Yeah, he was shot quite a bit. I don't think those did too much damage, though. His hide's probably pretty thick. You know, you're like, holy shit, I'm going to bring down this giant monster with an M60.
This ain't the Peter Jackson King Kong.
Yeah. Yeah, what if they fought? That'd be crazy.
It wouldn't be much of a fight.
Well, give him some time.
Yeah.
But,
it was interesting you mentioned that because John C. Reilly says in the movie he's still growing.
Yeah.
Well, that's a reference. He's young. This is him young.
Yeah.
His family's been wiped out, but you know he's young. He's still growing, and so he's gonna be bigger.
He's already scarred up.
Yeah. I mean the burns and shit. He's all just cooked, like Phantom of the Opera, King Kong. So yeah. Are you pumped for the next film?
Oh yeah! After this one, I'm really pumped for it. Like, I think King Kong versus Godzilla, or I think it's Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah.
Either way, I think it's coming out in 2020, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So
he's got some time to rest up.
Yeah.
Before the next
for those 40 years.
Typically, with these types of like combined universe films, like sometimes they don't really do it for me because. You know, I feel like this one is just a trailer for the next one. And I really didn't get that from this one. It was an enjoyable film to watch. And I really got a lot out of it.
Oh, yeah. They take you through a complete story. Yeah. It's not just a tie-in. Even, it's not a tie-in to a later movie.
Right.
And if you do your research out on the internet, you're seeing that there's future films planned, as these guys just mentioned.
Yeah.
I think they even said that, was it Kong versus Godzilla at some point? Or
Yeah, in 2020.
2020. Right. So, yeah.
What if the Peter Jackson King Kong is this one's dad? Maybe he's included that old 2005 Abomination. 5 hours.
It wasn't bad, but it ran a little long.
It ran pretty long.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one too
Yeah.
eventually, and we'll have Michael here for it. You guys got anything else to say about Kong Skull Island?
I just want to, like I said before, I'm pumped for the whole series that's coming up.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully they keep it going like they did with this one. They keep the action, but it's like you said, it's not just a preview for the next film. No,
Right.
they keep that up. They make each one special.
Yeah. Yeah, they can sequel bait, but put a film in front of it first.
Yeah.
I did like in the movie, though, I will mention, I liked some of the tie-ins to some of the older films. There were like tie-ins in different ways, like the photographer representing the Fay Ray character.
Right. Broken Tooth Mountain.
Broken Tooth Mountain, you caught that one. I didn't catch that one until what we used to hear when we watched it recently. But even the music, some of the non-rock and roll music, it would go from like modern action film music to like classic 1930s, 40s, 50s movie era like music to tie in some of that older kind of style.
Yeah, very sweeping old Hollywood type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That sweeping. Yeah, exactly. I like that.
Yeah, they were going for a real epic sound.
Yeah.
Some
of the scenes with the photographer and the ape.
Yeah. Yeah, the period stuff set the time, and this stuff more set the feel for it.
Yeah. So yeah, they really brought from old Kong to new Kong. It's kind of ties in a lot. It's like some of the other things. I think they did it with Superman. Maybe it was some of that kind of pulling in some of the old styling of Superman with the new stylings of Superman. Yeah. Okay.
To make the best version you can.
Yeah, right. They lean upon that past and the successes of the past, like the 1933 film. And I will say even the Jessica Lange movie, there are things I do like about that one.
Yeah,
right.
Same.
We know this guy loves it.
I don't love it.
Yes, you do. You can't
as
wait.
a kid, I liked it, but I watched it as an adult, and I'm like,
you can't wait till we do it.
But there's things about that movie I do like. For the time frame, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges.
The dude.
But I like some of that tie-in, and as he mentioned earlier, I'm a big Kong fan and ape movie fan. So
we're gonna do King Kong Lives at some point too.
Certainly. Is that the one with Linda Hamilton?
Yeah. It came out like just a year or two after the Terminator.
You're also a big Kong fan.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. How did you feel this with pulling in some of that old stuff?
I liked it. It's like they took the best elements from the past. They learned from the mistakes of the past, and like I said, you try to create the best product you can, the best version of whatever it is you're making that you can. Yeah. And hopefully they, with Godzilla, they do that too.
Right.
Yeah, I hope they bring in especially it's like some of the visuals that they did in this movie.
Yeah.
You can really get wrapped up in it really pulls you in.
Yeah, it pulls you in and gets your attention.
Makes you feel like you're there and in different ways. And I did want to mention, if I could, I'm going to get political again. I did notice some lighting that they kept playing with of the red and the blue lighting.
Right.
Whether that was intentional or not. But kind of the political spectrum of liberals and conservatives, red versus blue. I don't know if that was a tie-in or not, but I did catch that in the lighting a couple times with when they were in the bar talking to Hiddleston.
Right.
There was red and blue lighting, and then there was a scene later with Kong and Samuel Jackson when they're doing that big stare down.
Yep.
That was an awesome scene where they're just staring at all that fire. Mm-hmm. The world's just erupting.
Yeah, they do that a couple times.
Yeah, but then there was this lighting of red versus blue. Whether that was intentional or not, it was something I caught, and I kind of was like, okay, political tie in there. So
Well, some people.
Good eyes, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, some people say everything is political.
Yeah.
You can, if
Oh,
you
yeah.
dig deep enough, if you interpret it this way or that way or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of an old hippie, so I get political at times, but saw a lot of that in the film, with
Right.
like dealings with the environment and stuff, and that we talked about earlier. But there was a lot for me. There was a lot to think about, and it just really kind of played on all of that and made it obvious, but it didn't like slap you in the head with
It's
it.
not. Yeah, it's not just a monster film. It can be if that's what you're looking
Yeah,
for.
exactly.
But if you have, if your eyes are a little bit more open,
Yeah.
you're more perceptive, you can see things that maybe they were trying to throw in there to make you think a little bit.
The monster. Oh, by the way, you might see we got another guest here. This is Flower. Say hi, Flower. She watched the movie with us too.
Yeah, she loved it.
She loved every moment of
Big
it.
Kong fan.
She's a big yes. But yeah, the monsters were just. I mean, I loved some of the imagery, like with when he had the gas mask on and he's running with the sword.
Yeah, the big action.
I like that scene. For whatever
Yeah.
reason, it pulled in some of the psychedelic kind of visuals and sounds. There was a scene with the radio, or at one point with the helicopter that had crashed. And
Yeah,
there was
Paranoid was all fucked up.
there was these weird sounds they were
Yeah.
playing, and that was a big time
It was
frame.
a bad trip.
Yeah.
Kong was a bad trip.
We pulled in those elements of like acid trips and stuff, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I think Travis pointed out
When the dude's waving the spear around, I'm
Yeah.
like, when did he drop acid? Why didn't we see it? But it's only PG-13.
all he says is Jimi Hendrix band.
Yeah, they got one F-bomb in. Jackson was killed before he could drop another F-bomb. PG-13 stays, sir. But it was pretty gritty PG-13. People getting just killed, burned, their skulls all acid washed and everything.
And they cut away right before it happens usually.
Right.
Too.
Yeah.
So you're satisfied with
You
it.
see
Yeah,
blood
it gave you
spray.
a sense and a feel
Yeah.
without like just soaking you in it. It was just like it would tease you.
You don't
about-
need that all the time. You know?
No, you don't.
It's not a horror film. It's a monster movie.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it gives them some leeway when it's sci-fi action for some reason. It just does.
Yeah.
That's different than to saying like violence. Sci-fi action, like, no, that's a bunch of computer pixels. They look good, but, we know nobody's getting hurt. Though I still do feel bad when he gets hurt, he gets all beat up. It's definitely an endurance run for King Kong in Kong Skull Island, but he wins in the end, thankfully. I wonder if he'll be the good guy against Godzilla.
I don't know.
As a sci-fi monster flick, do you think definitely there was enough monster fights and all that and the monsters, because the skull crawlers were freaky looking.
Yeah.
With just the two front legs and then this long tail.
Use
and
Kong's
then head.
mutos.
Yeah.
And it teases you with the littler ones at first, and then you get the big one later.
Right.
The big fight scene.
He put a hurting on that thing.
Yeah, but I think there was enough sci-fi elements too as well.
Travis pointed out that he wonders if Kong's going to be the good guy or the bad guy against Godzilla.
Oh.
And Godzilla was more of the baby face.
He was.
In the first one, Kong was a baby face in this one.
He was the savior of San Francisco.
How they're going to do that?
Nice wrestling tie-in
They
there.
going to work together in the end or something? Who knows?
Well, sometimes a film can be really good when it has compelling characters on two sides of a thing. So, it comes down to who do you like more? Like, of course, I side with Godzilla completely.
Yeah.
Like, when I heard that he lost to King Kong, spoilers in the old one, I was like, fuck
I was in
that.
total denial as a kid. I'm like, no, he just swam away.
Yeah,
Kong walked away.
wait till we review that one. It's going to be fucking kicking and screaming in here.
Childhood favorite.
Right.
Of course, in this movie, Kong's the good guy.
Yeah.
He's, depending on... I mean, what was the line he said about enemies? You're going to find enemies if you look for them.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Certainly.
I don't remember the exact quote, but Samuel L. Jackson, his enemy was Kong, but Kong was actually the good guy, of course.
Right.
And
If you're looking for one, you're going to find one.
yeah, exactly. But the fights, Kong was just awesome. I mean, he was a beast, literally,
Right.
in many ways. I mean, some of the shots where he has the chain around his
Yeah,
neck.
it shows the smarts when he gets the
Oh yeah, the propeller.
yeah, and he's using that.
You can use
That big
tools.
uppercut.
Yeah.
You know, using
Yeah.
tools.
Some MMA. He had some awesome MMA
Well,
moves.
Superman punch.
The chain around
Yeah,
his
that's
neck.
right.
I was like, oh, it's Rampage Jackson
Yeah.
over here. Look out.
Yeah. Yeah, the Superman punch, the elbow,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
back elbow.
backhand.
Yeah, he's been training.
He's going to go into the school of MMA fighting.
Right.
Next movie will be a Muay Thai fighter.
With the tassel.
Yeah.
Bandana.
Godzilla's fucked.
He's like Jean-Claude Van Damme or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, you all got anything else?
I think that's about it for
All
me.
right.
Yeah, I think if people want to see an awesome monster flick, that's one
This
to
is
watch.
it.
Definitely put it in your
Yeah.
library of monster films. You know,
Don't skip over it if you like monster movies.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's been. And when did it come out again?
March of 2017.
So it was okay, a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, but if you haven't, it's a good one.
Yeah. It's a good one. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us here at Kaiju and Coffee. We'll see you next time.
See ya.